Louie C The MaYor checking in. What's going on, my people? Listen, we got a serious show today. I mean, real serious. So we're going to get right into it. I got a special guest. So there's been a lot of controversy on the street. So today's topic is ICE crisis, Key West lures up. You see this young lady right here? Miss Velasquez, Amanda Velasquez. She's a full-fledged attorney, and she going to answer any question that you might have pertaining to the law of the land. Okay, we're not going to get into, you know, if you're on the right side, left side. This is bottom line, letting you know of your rights, because a lot of people don't know their rights, and it's an issue on a daily basis. This young lady been so inundated in cases that my office is pretty stacked. You can't even walk in there. You ever see them movies when them folders are all over? That's how much stuff is going on. So, Rigo, thank you for checking in. We're going to take all questions. We got limited time. We're going to take every question that we can. And please act accordingly here. We don't want to have to ban you, kick you out of the live. We want everybody to participate. You don't have to agree with me. We grown people. We could agree to disagree. Right. My amigo, ¿cómo está? This is my friend out here, one of the promoters. Thank you for coming in. So can you please introduce yourself to the people, Ms. Velasquez?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. So yeah, I'm an immigration attorney. Been practicing exclusively in immigration law for 25 years here locally in Key West since 2018. So, and mostly immigration defense. Trying to help people find legal pathways to legalize their status. So it's been a very the last several years, really exciting stuff happening in the immigration world, and especially in the last few months. So just trying to keep up with all the changes. It's every day something changes.
Yeah, they definitely don't make it easy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So if you have any question, this would be the time. Attorneys, a lot of people don't know their rights. They don't even know. Forget about immigration stuff. They just know their rights, and then when you get pulled over or something happens, you have no idea, and then all of a sudden you open a can of worms, and then you're cooked when you hit that court. So today we're gonna get into it. Your boy P checking in, Plant City. All love. Thank you for the check-in. First thing, we're gonna put on some information here on the live that gives you some rights, especially if you own a business, so that could stay there on the Facebook Live, and then anybody that wants to access that information, they can. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Please share right here. There's a little share button. Keep sharing. Sharing is caring. We want to get the information, so like that, we want to be the best informed city in the whole entire United States. So when they come, they're going to say, wow, man, it looked like every time we stop somebody is a lawyer. So we want to definitely inform. That's part of the program. Okay, so bottom line is, let's get to the first thing I'm going to ask is, what should you do if you get pulled over and you're dealing with ICE?
Okay. So the first thing, you do have a right to stay silent. You don't have to give any information. But that being said, just keep in mind, that ICE can, if they ask you for your documentation and you don't provide it, it's just going to become more difficult. The process is going to be harder. So try not to resist. I know it's scary. I know it's it's a situation where we're living in a very, very stressful time, because everybody's like looking over their right shoulder, seeing if anybody's coming. But it's just have your documents ready, whatever it is that you have going on in an immigration case, whether it's a work authorization or green card, any kind of receipts or anything like that. So if you see ICE and they ask you for your documents, the best thing to do really is to not resist. And because that can lead to other charges if things get kind of escalate, and we don't want that to happen. That makes things worse.
So I took business law in high school and in college. I have a BA in sports administration, but I've always been fascinated with the law.
Okay.
So I make it a point to know the law above and beyond. I don't know the immigration as good, but by the time I finish with you, I'm
You're gonna
exactly know what's happening. Also, you bilingual, right?
I am, yes. Sí, hablo español.
If you would need to ask something in Spanish here, I'm not the greatest reader on Spanish, but she could translate it, and then we could answer the question. So bottom line is, just like when you get pulled over, you have your license, registration, and insurance card. Have that handy. Don't be looking for that. Have it in an envelope if you're dealing. Correct me if I'm wrong with immigration.
Yeah.
So like that, if that's the documents you need to give, you have them there or whatever, and the officer see that you comply.
Right.
They have a job to do. You know, not that these people not bad people or whatever. They're just in a tough situation.
Right.
She has her job to do. I got mine. So
Exactly.
I got a question here. Let me just see. Okay. Catherine, thank you, Ms. Garcia. I have expired green card. Apply for the removal conditions. I got a letter 48 months extension. I'm planning to travel out of the country. Is it safe? Could I get any issues?
So the 48-month extension is when you're getting the conditions removed on your green card. Some people do have a conditional green card that's only valid for 2 years, and then they have to renew it. So what she's talking about is that renewal process. And immigration does issue an automatic 48-month extension, which serves as evidence of the continued lawful permanent resident status. So, you know, unless you have anything else in the background, like, for example, a criminal record or other things that might make you more susceptible to a detention as you're coming back into the country, you should be fine. I will say, though, that I highly recommend if you are going to travel and you're operating under one of those extensions, that you get what's called an added stamp in your passport. It's another way to demonstrate your lawful permanent resident status, and that can easily be done through the USCIS website. You can request an appointment to your local district office, and they will stamp your passport with like proof of your permanent resident status because you haven't received the new card yet.
So we got limited time on the live here. In the future we could extend, but today we got limited time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to get everybody's question. We don't like to leave anybody out, so we're gonna roll through these and make sure we touch base with everybody. So this gentleman, Pete Ortman, is NYPD. He's one of our DJs, DJ DOS.
Cool. Right.
He's one of the top DJs. He'll be on the program today, 7 p.m. We got to go in the radio station. You know, we're in the entertainment, but when it comes time to basically drop what we're doing, and we're on the command post. Y'all seen us on the command post before. So we are definitely 100% on the command post. So let me ask a blood question, and he always asks it what we call blood raw. Big Pete is blood raw. So he says, so let me ask a blunt question. Are you putting people that are getting deported now priority over anyone else that has properly filed papers and were deported because their visa expired?
So people you don't just get, if I understand the question, he's talking about people who are overstaying. They're like tourist visas or something like that.
Do you need him to be more like specific?
I think I understand. We said like who's the enforcement priority, I think is what he's asking. Right now, I think anybody is susceptible to any kind of immigration enforcement. I have seen people recently detained that I would never have thought would have been in a dangerous position of being detained, who have valid documents, who have, you know, their cases pending, and no criminal records, and those folks are being detained. I think visa overstays, which is a group he's particularly mentioning, the people who come in on visas and overstay. I really think that that's the next wave of enforcement. That's just my opinion. We've seen a lot of focus on people who have entered the country through the border or in other irregular ways. But I think that the visa overstays is probably going to be the next wave of enforcement for people who came in legally and overstayed their status.
Thank you. So if you got any other questions, this would be the time to answer. Manny Menendez, straight out of Cuba. Thank you for the love. So I got to tell you, so I keep things blood raw, and I'm on the streets on a daily basis talking to people and finding out what's going on. And I'll be honest with you, people are terrified on the streets. So what I'm gathering out there is, it looks to me from what I'm researching on the street, there's been a lot of racial profiling. Would you kind of agree, disagree?
It seems that way. Definitely. I have heard some accounts from my own clients where that certainly seems to be something that's happening. You never want to think that is something that occurs, especially in a community like ours where we're so diverse, with people from all over the world, not just Latin America, but there seems to be bit of an uptick, at least in my world, of people getting stopped and detained for no probable cause. So that makes you question, how did they come into contact with an ICE officer if there was no criminal act being committed, and that then results in a detention.
Did I tell you that I ran Crime Watch for Monroe County for Sheriff Ramsey for 3 years?
Oh wow!
Did
No,
you know that?
I did not know that.
Okay, so Sheriff Ramsey tapped me to do Crime Watch,
Okay.
clean up Stock Island.
Nice.
You know, just
Good.
to make sure that people are
Yeah,
following
sure.
and complying.
Sure.
You know, this was a while back.
I
or
was
whatever.
going to say how long
So
ago was that?
it was a while back or whatever. So like I said, I'm signing up for something. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it to win an Olympic medal. So I had a conversation with Sheriff Ramsey about this subject yesterday. No, about the immigration.
Yeah. What
For
did you
10
say?
minutes. So basically, what he said is that he is not the front agency. Only this is a federal
Right.
mandate and a federal situation that has to be dealt by with the federal government. However, he will not be in compliance of the law. He can't just turn a blind eye if they ask for assistance. There's the crowd. He comes in secondary. But he said in no way, shape, form, or fashion he going into any business as a primary harassing people. He just following the law. I got to call into the chief. That's my friend. Sean Brandenburg, and I believe if this is only my opinion. If this is mandated for the federal government, let the federal government deal with it, and then basically follow the law on what you need to do with a city and a state. But like I said, I was glad that he took that position, because some other, depending on the sheriff or what county, that could be more aggressive.
Sure.
Another thing is it your opinion that quotas are being imposed by the federal government?
Oh, I think so, absolutely. Because, like I said, there are folks that are getting detained who are already in proceedings, doing, filing their paperwork, getting their have their appointments maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, going to their court hearings, have all of their work permits and applications in order, and no crime. What's the point of detaining that person? And I really do think it has to do with numbers. I don't know what those numbers are, but I think that there are orders from higher up saying, we want to see X amount of detentions a day, and they're just grabbing people just left and right who would not normally be in a detention situation. So then what happens after that is, and then they get detained, and then then we're looking at a situation to see if we can bond them out, and then they just come, and then they get a bond, and then just right back out again. So what was the point of that detention? To be able to say we detained X amount of people today.
To grow numbers.
Right.
So just a scenario. So I go in, I'm going about my business. I didn't stop at a stop sign. Because ICE is not going to stop you from a stop sign.
Well, I do have a little, like what you just were saying about Sheriff Ramsey, and I did see there was an article out today too where Chief Brandenburg said something similar about they're second, they're not doing immigration work.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. Okay.
So they're on the same page as far as that goes. But I just have to ask, and I believe my clients when they tell me that the person who stopped them was in an unmarked car and was an ICE officer.
Really?
Not Key West.
I know. So you're saying that unmarked ICE, not Key West PD, not sheriff.
Correct.
This is from your client.
Absolutely.
She can't get
and
into,
not just one or two.
Listen, she can't get into the specifics of
and not just
client,
one or two.
privilege with the client. But so you're saying they got stopped for an actual traffic violation?
I don't know, because they're never cited with any traffic violation. They got stopped by an unmarked car, and the officer who steps out of that car is an ICE officer. There's no traffic stop
with no Key West PD, no sheriff.
Correct.
Now that, correct me if I'm wrong, that's illegal 100% within the law.
That's my opinion. Yes. Yeah, I mean that's not. I can totally understand. Like if there's a valid traffic stop, and Monroe County Sheriff pulls them over, or Key West Police Department pull them over, and there's a traffic stop that's going on, and ICE happens to roll up, or ICE, or that's
okay. That's what I heard, but I didn't hear about this.
Well,
so here's where the situation gets sticky on the street.
Exactly.
I have a problem. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. I got a problem with injustice. So if you think that you basically don't care about these people, I care, and I care about all people, even haters. I care about haters too. I just don't want people to be treated unfairly and not given the rights that they have under the United States Constitution. I have a big problem with that. So for example, if they pull me over at ICE for whatever reason, I'm asking the same situation when I get pulled over, and then they give you an excuse or whatever. And always remember, and this is different now because you're dealing with if you're not being detained, you're free to go. That's typical. But now it's an advancement of what we got with ICE. So now let's say I get pulled over by ICE, and I'm an individual that is in the immigration stuff or whatever. Basically, I'm not sure exactly how I handle that because you got to ask them. I mean, should you ask them why am I being pulled over?
Absolutely, and then just say, show me your papers, and then the person, let's say for example, that individual has a valid work permit, has a valid social security card, has a valid driver's license. So he or she is thinking, well, yeah, here are my papers, everything's fine, everything's in order, I have what I'm supposed to have. And then they say, well, it doesn't matter, you're coming with me, you know, the way you entered the country was illegal, so even though you're on the right path now and you're filing the things that you need to file, you're still going to get detained. I'm
not saying that this happened, but I hate to say this, but I mean, if they could run a license, right? And then if the information up there comes in with maybe, a Latin person or whatever, then they say, but that is incredible.
Exactly, yeah.
So you should definitely not resist of giving them the paperwork.
You should not resist.
Unlawful stop.
Correct.
Like
you should not resist. It's gonna go sideways for you really quickly, and I don't know really what the answer to that is. Locally, it's a tough one, but yeah, I mean, and as I said, it's not just one or two people who have told me that. I've got clients that are detained right now. They're all telling me the same story, and so for me, it's just not. I think at the end of the day, think whatever you want to think. Give whatever benefit of doubt you want to give to the person who entered, however they entered the country. Our Constitution protects all of us, and there has to be probable cause for stops. And so, what is the probable cause for somebody who, for example, is riding a bike and gets stopped not because there was a traffic violation, not because but an unmarked car pulls up and it's an ICE
violation of rights is the way I look at it.
Yeah. So.
In layman terms, so we gotta understand, we gotta start, in general, and then work our way to the calculus, right? So, what exactly is a green card?
A green card is a card. It's a permanent resident card. It's what is given to a person who has adjusted their status from some sort of non-immigrant status, a tourist or something else, and has become a permanent resident. It's the next step before becoming a U.S. citizen.
Once again, we talked this a little bit off camera. So if I have a green card and everything is I's and T's, technically by the law of the land, you're not supposed to take you.
Right. I mean, there's no reason unless there's some kind of crime or something happening to justify a detention. Just a green card is legal status. It's a lawful permanent resident status in the United States. So
we can get through these questions. Sure. Let me see. Key West is shutting down tourists. Workforce is being assaulted. As a business owner, you have certain rights and obligation when it comes to interactions. Okay, so this right here, you see Pedro, your boy Pete, thank you for putting that up here. So listen, I'm going to tell you this because I'm all for law enforcement, I really am, but I'm going to stand my ground when I believe in something and, do everything I can, especially if I witness an injustice on site, I'm definitely acting. I could be taken to jail. Things could happen. I don't recommend that you do that. But this information that was put in here is what you should look at if you own a business. Like, for example, it says if you come in and they have a warrant, they only could go in public areas of the business. I mean, they can go in the kitchen, they can't go in your office, they can't go upstairs in the attic unless the warrant specifies.
Unless they have a judicial warrant.
So read this top to bottom. Yeah. What I would do if I'm a business owner and you go in the kitchen, I'm not going to wrestle you and resist or fight with you. What I'm going to do, now everybody has a phone. Videotape, stay in a distance, because then basically you have some for the court, just like anything else. This is just, you got to really be informed here on what's happening. So once again, thank you for that. Claudio, what if somebody's waiting for their interview from NVC and they get detained?
Oh, that's a good question. So NVC is the National Visa Center, and that's somebody who is waiting for an interview abroad in their home country. And so the plan is that eventually they have to leave the United States to go to this interview. And there are a lot of cases like that, which we don't have enough time to get into the reasons why, but yeah, I mean, you know, you can, yeah, it can happen. You can get detained even though you're waiting for your NVC, you know, your interview through the National Visa Center. I think in that case, I would definitely have, and this goes for everybody, have all your ducks in a row. Like if you have documentation, receipts, ongoing cases, have copies of those documents with somebody that you trust. Memorize a phone number, because they'll sometimes, you know, you don't get a chance to make a phone call right away, and then they take your phone and you don't remember your family's phone numbers. Memorize a phone number of who you're going to call. Leave copies of all your documentation of, you know, with a family member or friend that you trust. In some cases, have powers of attorney so that people can access your accounts, so your whatever. But yeah, I mean, what do you do if that interview is pending and you get detained? You show that documentation and you hope that you'll be able to get a bond so you can get back out. Yeah. That's what you do.
And then unfortunately, we're usually on the good side of stuff in the whole nation in Key West, Florida. On this one, we're absolutely in the worst situation as far as if you're dealing with anything with immigration, because the whole ICE is converted on the entire Key West. So you can't go down Flagler. If you see an ICE agent, you could go to Stack Island. It's all over. So then people are leaving. They don't want to deal with this down here, so they're going to Miami, where they have more of tactical, you know, procedures that they do to, you know, do different types of searches and stuff like that, where it's not on the street because Miami is too big.
Yeah.
So people are leaving housing, which the only thing I can tell you, housing is going to drop. But here downtown, we're going to lose a whole bunch of our workforce. We already have. I know personally, this is from me talking to people on the street. So where can they find you?
Sure.
If they want to talk to you about a case, how do they find you?
Absolutely. So my number is 305-766-2676. And I have another number to you. I should never remember it. 786-644-8644. Call that line as well. Yeah. My office is right above the Key West Theater on Eaton, 524 Eaton. Right. Yep.
And then you want to call before you just show up, right?
Yeah, give me a call at either of those numbers. Again,
and you got a website too, right?
Yeah, it's Amanda Velasquez, AmandaVelasquez.com, and then my email is AmandaVelasquezPA@gmail.com.
Okay, beautiful. Tamara Flores, thank you for checking in. My friend was stopped by Key West PD while riding a scooter due to a rear light not working, to which she takes responsibility. Mind you, she has a valid work authorization until 2028 and a DL with a motorcycle endorsement. Let me see, hold on. With a motorcycle endorsement, the cop told her to wait, and he went back. Let me see. Hold on. He went. Hold on. With a motorcycle, told her to wait while he went back to his car. And 5 minutes later, an unmarked vehicle showed up with ICE officials who took her first to Chrome and then to Texas. Ain't that something?
Yeah, and that's a scenario where, like, that's what, like, Sheriff Ramsey was talking about, or Chief Brandenburg, you know, has talked about. Like, if it's a lawful traffic stop, which it sounds like it was, she had a rear light that wasn't working. That is on her. You know, then yes, then they're gonna call ICE if there's some sort of indication that you know there might be some immigration issue. So. You know, obviously we don't want to see those situations happen. You kind of got to think, like, does the person deserve to be detained because their light was out in their car? Well, no. The short answer I think anybody would agree with is no, especially if she has a valid driver's license, a valid work permit. That means that she's got a legal case going. But was the stop legal? Yes. That in that scenario, the stop was legal.
Let me explain something to you, regardless if you're Latin, green, orange, or purple. If you get pulled over by whatever agency, Key West PD, sheriff, and you're in the middle of the traffic stop, like the lady just said, she got stopped for a tail light, whatever it was, and the stop is completed. Mm-hmm. At that time, by law, you know, this is different now. We deal with ICE or whatever. By law, they can't say, okay, well, you know, can we search your vehicle? They could say that, and you could say, no, you know, I got to be somewhere, so I'm not have the time to do that. They cannot detain you until another unit come and make you wait there. It has to happen during the actual traffic stop. And this I know 100%. So you don't want to resist. You just want to let it be known that at this point, I'm reasonably, you know, not unreasonably being detained. and basically, I filed to address this after this, but I'm going to cooperate. Now with this stuff with ICE, all this stuff is out the window because basically they really don't care. And I'm not saying the PD, the ICE is a whole different situation because this would stay within the agency.
Right.
To me, like I said, if have all your paperwork like the attorney said, and have it all in a file, everything that you can, and then be nice to the people, because basically if there's a little borderline, you're gonna be better off if you're nice than if you try to go ahead and be argumentative. Also, if you have a lawyer and you can reach them, that's a plus too, because see, when that person was coming, you had a lawyer. That's what I'm saying. The problem with Key West is they right down the street. In 1 minute we could go from,
they're gone.
In Miami, you ain't no telling where somebody be at. It might take longer, but in that moment, she might be able to help you on what exactly could happen. That's why you pay for an attorney. You think it's going to have problems, or they can arrest them? Let me see. There's. Oh, wow, this is what we just said. They're moving to Miami because there's more places to hide. Okay, so if you don't do anything wrong, you don't have any reason to hide. Well, right? If you buy the book, what we're trying to do is have people know their rights. So if they going and not doing anything wrong, going to work, they don't get harassed or whatever. But it's hard when they put a quota, because basically them people on intense pressure to meet the federal mandate, right or wrong. I'll be honest with you, they couldn't pay me enough money to be in that job. That's like bad news with people all day. Can you give the number again?
Oh,
your
sure.
Number.
Yes, 305-766-2676. Okay. And there's another line too. You can call me at 786-644-8644.
Okay.
Either one.
So basically, just be careful out there. Things are serious, and have some compassion for people. The only way that you kill hate is with love. This is not a time to be joking around, all these little ICE jokes and all this extracurricular foolishness or whatever. Don't do that, man. Would you like for a family member break up a whole home with this or whatever? So I'm not, and I'm the first one. If you here illegally and you've done horrendous crimes and all that, you should be the first one to go. But I know a lot of good people that are basically just trying to do their stuff. They go to work every day, and then it's unfair for them to be treated this way, and especially when you're trying to do the right thing. Now, what about this thing about, it just came to my head, about go ahead and cooperate with the federal government and leave voluntary, and we give you $1,000. You know about that?
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm not aware of any one person that's been given $1,000 that's left voluntarily. And I have had some clients choose to leave voluntarily, so I don't know what that's all about. But I don't have like the inside scoop on how to get that $1,000.
Yeah, I'm saying that we don't know what's going to happen if you leave voluntarily, because it's so shaky out there that you have to make the best decision for you and your family, I would think, or whatever. Thank you, FloridaKeysInjury.com, Accent Lawyers in the Keys. Tomorrow, Friday, so ICE is on the street. Me, Louie C The MaYor, I'll be on the street tomorrow for shaking hands and kissing babies. Friday, $25 cash on site. So if you see me, the cash phrase that pays is FloridaKeysInjury.com. You get $25 on the spot. We doing this for the people, by the people, because it's such a negativity. We supposed to be one human family right now, because of what's going on with this ICE. It's really rough out there. And I know what you go through dealing with this stuff, because you getting calls on a daily basis and stuff, and some people that you grow close to or whatever, the next thing you know, they're gone. You said that you had two today. Incredible.
And it is sad. There's their families at the end of the day, they're really affected by it. So just be kind to each other.
Absolutely, be nice. So we got a couple minutes here before 7:00. Go to iHeart Radio, WOW 92.7 FM. We're going to be playing music. This is happy time. Music is for everybody. Cool. We got to have some fun. So tune in, iHeart Radio, DOS, Alex Gutierrez, CO Episcopal, your boy P, Plant City. It's going to be all love, and we're going to lift some spirits. Crystal Ramos, what's up, my girl? What rights do the Cubans and the Haitians have now that administration just revoked their ability to be here.
Yeah, so she's talking about the humanitarian paroles, which also affect a lot of Nicaraguans and Venezuelans as well. So that those paroles have been revoked, which basically means that unless you have applied for some other status, either an asylum case or family-based petition that you might have available, you're no longer in legal status if you entered with that parole. It's now been revoked, and the Supreme Court has said that the administration does have the right to revoke those paroles, and they are doing it.
Okay, so we're going to continue to give out information. Thank you for everybody that's come on the live here. So me, Louie C The MaYor, I've officially classified this as a crisis. You know, we have hurricane crisis. Y'all seen us, like I said, pandemic was over the top. So until this gets sorted out, I don't think it's going to be today or tomorrow. My mission is going to be to give out the best information by law, so like that everybody knows what's going on, so we could be informed. Main thing that she said is very simple. Right now, don't wait till tomorrow, next week. Get your paperwork with and put it in a yellow folder and carry it with you. So like that, if you get stopped for any injustice or whatever, then you at least have something to go from there, because we don't want none of y'all leaving. We love you down here in the Conch Republic, and we want everybody to be safe, and we want everybody to live and eat. One more time, can you run because we got people coming. I wish we could stay longer tonight, but give them your whole information, your name and everything, website, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, Amanda Velasquez. I am located at 524 Eaton Street, number 210 in the Key West Theater. My number is 305-766-2676. I am here every day, but yeah, give me a call. We can set up a time to talk about your case and see where we can go from there.
And don't get frustrated if they don't pick up the phone right away, because you don't understand the case law that there is or whatever. And that support people. You know, we need our workforce. You know, we're the land of the free, and I'm just hoping that everybody, could work this out. But the main thing that you could do, and anybody could do this, is get your paperwork straight. Any closing word for the people before we get out of here?
Just try to be safe out there. I mean, I've been, like I said, practicing for 25 years, and this is a lot of new stuff rolling in every day. So just be patient with each other, be kind to each other, be kind to your neighbors. These are our neighbors. We live in a very tight community, so and
shout out to Mikey Lockwood. He won the $25 last week. That man found me at the gallery on Duval. I don't know where he came from, but he
hunted you down.
So all love, Louie C The MaYor. Please have some fun today. 7 o'clock, we got to get in the studio here in a minute. We're going to be on for 2 hours. And young lady,
thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Coming.
Really a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. God bless. And if there's any issue, this is the #1 immigration lawyer in the country and planets above beyond. We're going to see her on CNN one day.
Have a good one. Bye.